Miss Taylor, can you hear me?
Yes, how are you doing? I just can't see you.
I'm well. I'm pushing the right buttons here, ma'am. Hold on. Okay, we should be good. Andrew, would you dim the please overhead? We should be good.
I can see
It's
you now.
it's nice to see you. I have so many friends and people in Shreveport. You're in the Shreveport area, right?
Yes, yes, but I'm from Baton Rouge. So
Oh,
I'm
I
familiar
I
with.
I lived there for a long time as well, 17 years
Oh,
of my life.
wow.
Yeah, all four children were born in Baton Rouge, and I'm very familiar, and I have a lot of people in Shreveport too. So anyway, I'm happy to talk to you. I understand you want to talk about the president's executive orders regarding the oil and gas industry and maybe the Keystone and maybe the lawsuit, stuff like that.
Yes, so
Okay.
yes, I just want to talk about your stance on the lawsuit first.
Well, I'm a constitutionalist, and the founders gave us Article 3. Our judicial branch is a means by which any American citizen, or in this case, government entity, can challenge anything that they believe to be unrighteous or illegal in a peaceful and legal and constitutional manner. So I certainly support the the legislative pursuit of truth and justice, and through Congress, and therefore Article 3 endeavors through the judicial system. As a constitutionalist, I support that as well. Ultimately, this will be determined by judges, and whether or not I agree with the outcome is of minor importance. What's of major importance is that we as Americans should support the legal challenges of anything that we believe to be unrighteous. So I certainly support Louisiana's involvement in the multi-states. I forget how many states. There's like 20 states now are signed on.
21.
Um, 21. There you go. So I support that, but I support that because I'm a constitutionalist, and it's the right way to challenge anything that we believe to be wrong or unjust or illegal. So our Attorney General Jeff Landry is a good friend of mine, and he's a he's a brilliant man, and he's very dedicated. He's a constitutionalist himself. I have never known him to pursue anything as our Attorney General that was not very sound legally as I've reviewed it, and just have my own opinion as an American man and a citizen of Louisiana. So I'm quite certain that the courts will determine what's right here, and it's the proper venue to seek a judicial review is by engaging in the already established litigation. So I think Jeff made the right decision. Our Attorney General made the right decision to join. We'll see what the courts say. As a congressman and a servant to 750,000 constituents, and by extension, all Louisiana citizens, and by extension, all American citizens, my concern is the economic impact upon the state and the entire nation, which is tremendous. And it bothers me a lot that we have contractual obligations with our with our neighbors. We just negotiated. The USMCA took a couple of years of hard work. This the re-envisionment of NAFTA, the United States, Mexico, Canada trade agreement, and part of that was Keystone XL. So we were like contractually in violation by stopping the ongoing construction of the Keystone XL. Canada has already invested about a billion and a half. And so stopping construction there is wrong. If you shake a hand and make an agreement, that's a promise, and a promise made by our government, by our executive, by our nation with a neighboring nation in a trade agreement. Promise made should be a promise kept. So that's a core principle that I believe our nation should reflect. It's been violated by the President Biden's executive order to stop the Keystone XL. And then on top of that, you have, listen, no less than 10, 15,000 American jobs. Okay. This is a very conservative estimate, because when you look at the ancillary impact of that are not directly connected to the construction, and yet the economy of those workers and their families and their existence and the money that they spend and the restaurants where they eat, you understand, the grocery stores where they shop, that economic impact is virtually immeasurable when you just all of a sudden, it's not like it was a scheduled like a sunset on the job, or the job was ending. And you knew the end of the job was in sight. So as an American family, you make plans for that. You understand this job's coming to an end. You start looking for another one. Just on one day, man, our president shut down the lives of 10 or 20,000 American families. It's abhorrent, and it should not have been done. If the president did intend to shut down the Keystone XL pipeline, he should have been much more engaged and transparent, and considered the impact that would have on the American citizens and thousands and thousands of American families. And that equipment, it's out there in the field. We're contractually obligated to continue to put what the contracts that we have engaged in. The equipment's out there, the steel is out there, the steel was all being made in America. The impact on that industry is hard to measure. Just lost benefits to American communities are it's painful to know that our president, with the stroke of a pen and the bizarre promise, like unicorn milk, of telling these families, yeah, you just go get another job building solar panels. What? That's quite heartless, in my opinion. It's intellectually unsound. Obviously, someone that's professionally certified and trained and equipped to build a pipeline is not the next week going to start building solar panels at a solar panel factory that doesn't exist. I think it was a heartless move. It greatly injured our nation. It violated our promise to our neighboring nations, and it was wrong on many levels. It's being challenged now in court. I support that, and we'll see what the courts say. And there's obviously arguments on both sides, right? So we'll see. Well, I hope the courts are fair and impartial, and that it moves through the appellate system quickly, and that we have a just conclusion and adjudication to this thing, so that we can get these American families back to work.
And what would you have to say to the people of the opposing side, the people that are worried about the environmental impacts?
Well, I've had this conversation many times. I appreciate you asking that. The study after study worldwide, I don't have to point them out. There's 1,000 studies from every different perspective that have clearly determined that the safest, most ecologically sound, and most efficient means by which to transport energy product is by pipeline. Because the alternative, the energy product is going to be moved, because the consumption is not going to end. We still need everything in your studio there, your cameras, the clothes you're wearing, the necklace around your blouse, your coffee cups in the back, everything around you. It includes a petroleum-based product. And so the consumption of energy product is going to continue. The question is, if you're concerned about ecological impact, which you should support what science has proven, and engineering studies, 1,000 of them, has concluded that the most ecologically sound means by which to transport energy product is by pipeline. So how can you say, well, we want to protect the ecology of the nation, so we're going to shut down this pipeline, knowing, if you're intellectually sound, knowing that product is now going to be moved by rail, by truck, by barge, but you understand, which is much more likely to have spillage, and you have the carbon footprint of the many semi trucks and 18-wheelers and trains, large maritime vessels, as opposed to a pipeline. I mean, how much carbon footprint, how much fuel does a pipeline burn? I ask you. Zero. You understand? Like none. So it's in a stable environment. The new technologies of new pipelines. It's no more fair. It's just not right to compare a 21st century pipeline to a mid 20th century pipeline. You wouldn't compare a 2021 vehicle that's in your driveway to a 1950 Ford, would you? I mean, they're two different things, man. So the technologies that are being used now, ma'am, may I submit to you, to build the Keystone XL Pipeline are far advanced to the technologies that were used to build pipelines even just 15, 20, 30 years ago. It's vastly different. So to take examples of, say, deteriorated or leaking pipes that were built, 40, 50 years ago, and say, this is the problem, this is why we're ecologically, endangered by these pipelines, and compare that to pipelines now, that's number one. It's ignoring study after study that show even the old pipelines are the safest, most efficient, most environmentally friendly means by which to transport energy product. And if you compare that conclusion to the technologies being used in the new pipeline like Keystone XL, then of course the benefit of pipelines becomes even greater. So I would argue to my friends that have environmental concerns. I consider myself an environmentalist. I love the planet. We're biblically commanded to care for our planet, and when the Lord gave us dominion over the planet, the original translations, dominion means to care for. It's not just to rule over. It's to care for, to sustain. So I consider myself an environmentalist, and I support modern pipelines, and the Keystone XL pipeline should be renewed. And if our president cares about the environment, then he should reverse his executive order. If our president cares about promises made, promises kept with our international partners, then he should reverse his executive order. And if our president cares about the 10 or 20,000 American families that have lost their livelihood and a tremendous economic impact and suffering that his executive order had immediately caused, then he should reverse his order. So if our president truly cares about all these things, then he'll reverse his order. And look, he won't be the first president to say, you know what, I moved too quickly on that. No one would judge him for that. I wouldn't. I would commend him. I would say, thank you, sir. It's okay to make a mistake. This was a big one. He can fix it. He should. we're encouraging him to take corrective action, and I'm prayerful that he'll listen. We'll see.
And I just have one more question here, and then I'll let you go. Lastly, your expectations with this lawsuit and what kind of happens next in this process?
Well, no matter who wins, it'll be appealed. It'll be appealed by the other side. You understand? So I'm hopeful that the adjudications will be fast, so that the lawsuits can move through the appellate system and end up with a final adjudication at the highest level, perhaps the United States Supreme Court. We'll see. What I'm hopeful for is just a fast adjudication, so that we can get to a conclusion. And then, as a constitutionalist, I'll support it. We're not going to. It does no good to object to a final adjudication, but just because it doesn't go your way. But no matter how these cases are decided in the lower courts, they're going to be appealed by the other side, whichever side loses. You understand? So to me, the best thing for America is for the pending litigations to move quickly through the judicial system, so that we can get some answers, some final answers, for these many thousands of American families that are right now suffering. They're losing I mean, imagine just all of a sudden being told that your job has ended by no fault of your own, with no warning. The way oil and gas industry jobs work, especially pipeline jobs, those workers, those men and women that have that expertise and that certification and that equipment and that kind of clearance, and they're subject to rigorous background checks and trainings and certification. They have to own, most of these guys own their tools and their vehicles, you understand, that are specifically designed to do pipeline work. So they have, in some cases, hundreds of thousands of dollars invested in their trade. So their families' lives are dependent upon a continued ability to work. So these pipeline workers, these families are constantly looking at, what is the next job? How long will this job last? Where is it? Do we have to move? Are we going to keep? Is it long enough? Is it a long enough job to move the family there and put the kids into school there? Is it a job that's going to last a couple of years, or is it a job that's going to last a few months? The point is, families sit down as just solid Americans that are working for their living and trying to raise their children and have a stable home. They make decisions about their life based upon the expectant job that they're currently on. And like, how long is this job going to last? So for the Keystone XL, imagine you're an American family and you're anticipating, 8 or 9 months or a year or more of employment, and you've arranged your whole family's life around that, and then just to wake up on a Saturday morning to a phone call that don't come to work on Monday, they've shut us down. What do you mean they've shut us down? Was there an explosion or anything? No. Did something happen? No. The president signed an executive order. We're shut down. What? Where do you go? You still have your bills to pay. You've still made your life decisions. So it's very, very sad that our president did that. I respect his right to engage in the debate. I respect his right as our commander in chief to exercise his executive authority, but he should do so knowledgeable of the impact that his executive orders will have. And he should not just to make some kind of a political point on Inauguration Day, sign a document that ruins the lives of 10 or 20,000 American families. I'm prayerful that he'll reconsider and allow the Keystone Pipeline to continue.
I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate you, Ms. Taylor. God bless you and all my friends and people in the Shreveport area.
All righty. Well, they'll be watching at 5 and 6.
Thank you,
So
ma'am.
thank
Yes,
you.
ma'am.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.